This is my first time going live, so I'm hoping I'm going to see what's going on here. I'm just... Okay. All right, so there we go. So today we're just going to be talking about how to groom your dog from home and what tools that you'll need to do that. So this is my dog Deacon here, and of course the very first thing that you're going to need to do is have a dog. So this is Deacon already. I'm not going to be grooming him on the live today. I'm just going to show you all the different things that I actually do and all the tools that I need for that as well. So I'm going to put him down. So yeah, so the very first thing that you need to do is get a dog, or at least think about getting a dog. And once you have that idea already done, then you can work on what tools that you'll need. So I'm just going to make sure he can get out of the room. There you go, buddy. Here you go. Go. All right. So the very first thing that you will need, I'm just going to put it down there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see your comments. I am hoping so, but I'm going to keep going. So far it doesn't have a spot for me to see the comments, so I will see as they come up, and if they do, I will answer. And if for some reason I have to wait till after I'm done, I will come back and answer all of them as best I can. But this is just getting you the basic tools of what you need to groom your dog from home. So the first thing you'll need, above anything else, is a good pair of scissors. You can do without clipper blades. So if you don't have, don't want to spend the extra money on clipper blades, you will need a good pair of scissors. There are different lengths, there are different weights, but you will need a good sharp pair of scissors. And I use these. When I first started out, I did start with shorter ones. But over the years, I found, there are longer ones, of course, too, but these ones here have worked the best for me and are more versatile for what I use them for my day-to-day grooming. And I do enjoy using them on the face. You can use them on the body, but you can also use them on the feet as well, is what I use them for. I have trained people to use this length of scissors just when they're starting out. So it does, it's basically your preference. So you can go to the store and you can try the weights of them, and they'll actually let you test them out, not necessarily on a dog, but they'll let you hold them. If you have your own dog with you, they will let you cut the dog with them, but once you buy them, they are yours, kind of thing. I have noticed them also on Amazon, and I'm not sure about the return policy on some of them, but some of them I know you can have a 30-day trial on them as well. So so you can cut your whole dog with this, so trimming around the ears and the body and everywhere. So the minimum you need is a pair of scissors and nail clippers. So that's to keep the nails nice and healthy. So I do use two different types of nail clippers. So these ones are a little more heavy duty, and then these are for my smaller toy kind of breeds as well. So they do very well on trimming those as well. These big ones will work on the small guys as well, but so I can add both, and they vary in price, so you can spend a little bit more money, and they do last a very long time. I've had to replace one set of these and one set of these over 16 years. So they do last a very long time. The scissors also do last a very long time, but I wanted to show you this pair here. So this one is newer. You can see the blades are a little bit wider. So this is because this one's been sharpened so many times, it gets thinner and thinner. But again, this is also 10 years old. So if you do buy good quality items, they do last a very long time. So don't be afraid if you plan on having a dog and you plan on grooming them to spend the money. You can also start out with some cheaper models as well, but you will also have to find someone to be able to sharpen these when they do get dull, and you can keep using them for many years. These, once they go dull, you aren't able to sharpen them. So I wish I could. I asked my guy if he could sharpen them, and he said he did try, but it did not work. So once basically these are dull, they're no good anymore. All right, so then if you do want to proceed to getting clippers, I use an Andis clipper, which I have used for many, many years. It's a two-speed clipper. And you can see it has a detachable blade that can come off, and then so I can switch the different sizes of the blade that I need for depending on what kind of cut I want for the dog. You also, when you take apart there's different things that you can replace. This is the blade drive that sometimes gets replaced as it wears down. So I have done that, and I do buy an extra blade drive assembly so that I can change that out. But that's because I'm using it every day, a little bit each day kind of thing when I'm grooming. So that's why I need the blade drive. If you're using it on your dog, you won't need to sharpen them as often, and you won't need to change the blade drive. You may need to change it once, in your lifetime, but it's nothing imperative that you'll need to worry about. When using the different clippers, the blades, so I use a number 10, a number 7, which is split tooth, a number 5, also split tooth, the 3 3/4 split tooth, and then the 3/4, which is not split tooth, but it's the longest one of the blades that you can buy. And I always have several on hand, so when I'm grooming I have this many on hand so that when they do get hot, and they will, that I'm able to switch them out right away, and just start with another blade rather than having to wait till they cool down. So that's one thing that you'll need to have on hand if you're planning on doing your dog. It's nice to have a couple of them if you can, but also you could also be cutting the body and then switch to the feet or the face and kind of swap, so give those blades time to cool. If they do need some lubrication, you need some clipper oil. That usually is sold with the clipper blade when you first buy it, and it will last a long time as well because you only need a couple drops. So the drops themselves, like when you're putting it on the blade, it isn't meant to cool the blade. It will not. It's just meant to lubricate it, because of course with metal going against metal, or if you're doing a wet dog, you will need more lubrication to keep that keep it moving nice and smoothly. So that's one thing you'll need as well. Okay, so I'm just going to keep moving on here. All right, so the very next thing that you'll need, so you got, when you're cutting the nails, Styptic powder or a quick stop or stop bleed. There's various names of what you can use to stop the bleeding if you cut your dog's nails. It's a fine powder. I have seen some that are more grainy and they don't work as well, so you're going to want to find one that's very powdery, and it really, when you put that nail in there, it really kind of sticks to it. So I'll put the dog's nail in there and hold it in, and then I'll use the other finger to kind of push it and make sure it's really in there, and check to make sure the bleeding has stopped. And that's all you need to do is just put it in there, and then you want to making sure that the dog isn't going to be outside in the snow right away, or if it's really rainy, or even just rubbing on carpet and stuff to rub it off. So when I do groom my dog, I do the nails at the beginning, just as I do with all the dogs I groom, and that way I can keep an eye on it as I'm continuing to groom on the table here, and keep an eye on it when I bath them and such and so forth, so that it really is clotted, because sometimes it can start bleeding again. So you just basically put it back into the Styptic powder again to stop that from bleeding. So that is there. Okay, so another thing that I use when cutting the nails, sometimes if your dog's nails aren't cut regularly, or sometimes they really have a curved nail, that it's a certain way that it grows. I have seen a couple of them where the nail just automatically starts to curve as it comes right from the nail bed. So there's nothing to prevent it from curling, and they're not even that long. It's just how it's turned on the nail, how it grows out. So I actually do use tin snips. You can also use wire cutters, just something that's really strong that gives you a nice straight cut. And that works really well on trimming those nails on the dew claws, or even just any regular of the, any of the regular nails that also do curl quite a bit as well. So it really gives it a nice clean cut, and it does need to be very strong. So that's why these are, like I said, they're tin snips, but you can also try other wire cutters, like I said, too, because they're very strong. I've used these basically since I started grooming, so it's maybe 15 and a half years, because it took me half a year to figure out how to get those nails done. But I think these are even the same ones. So these tools do last a long time. So when you're spending the money, if you're planning, like I said, to groom your dog for the many years he's or she's with you, you don't have to worry. These things will last long. These clipper blades are my original clippers that I bought when I first started as well. So they do last the whole time as well. And you just need regular maintenance with the blade assembly and just changing out the blades. So the blades will last many years as well. But there are times, here we go, when you may drop the blade. So you can see it's missing one of the tines there. And this one's kind of broken off. So I've dropped them on the floor, and it'll kind of do that. They're still usable, but you just got to be careful to make sure there's no loose skin. So I'll use these kind of more on the back rather than inside the leg and stuff, so that I can keep a closer eye on it. But they still do work very well. But eventually, as you get them sharpened more and more, this part here becomes flatter and flatter, where they're not going to be able to be sharpened anymore, and then they will be no good anymore. So they can only be sharpened so many times, but again, it's over 10 years. So they do last a very long time. And I do keep many on hand all at once, because as a groomer, I always like to keep lots on hand because I'm always working. And when you do take them in to get sharpened, you're not quite sure how long that may take. It may take a week. It may take 2 weeks after you find someone that you want to do them for you. So when they're obviously at the getting sharpened, you'll need some blades on hand as well. So I do have lots of them on hand as well, and also many that are ready to go if I need them. So it's always just good to have many on hand. And then as you if you tend to grow your business, if you plan on doing that, or if you're just growing your grooming your own dog, it's just nice to have extras on hand. But you don't need too many. Like I said, you can always switch off and do the feet, or use scissor work instead of the clipper blades, because you do want to make sure they cool down, because if they're too hot, they will burn your dog. All right. Okay. Excuse me. So the different types of combs that I use are all right here. I'm just trying to get you all that. So this is the one I use quite a bit, because it has quite the spacing in there between the combs, and it has rounded tips, so it can go right down to the skin of the dog to get right under all the fur. So if there's mats in there, I can kind of get through it a little bit. When there's not very many mats, you can use this one, and sometimes I'll use that, say, if I'm brushing out a Pomeranian or whatever, I'll start with the thicker one, or the one that's spread out more, and then I'll go to the thinner and more closer together ones. This one here is actually one that does not work at all, because they're so rounded on the top, it actually won't go through the fur of the dog, because it's just getting the very top. So you sometimes don't know if you're going to be buying one, if you can take your dog to the pet store when you're doing that. But I just keep this one basically as an example of what not to buy for when I'm showing my clients, because some of them are asking, what they need to groom their dog. This one works good on really short-haired dog, it's a Deshedder. So Chihuahuas, even Yorkshire Terriers, like so dogs that don't shed and even dogs that do shed, it really pulls out the hair, and really, you know, because even the dogs that don't shed, of course, like people, we do lose hair. So this just helps bring it out and get your dog's fur nice and thinned out and lays a lot flatter that way. So I do use this one, and I do like to use this one as well on dogs like Pomeranians. So they got a little bit thicker of a coat, and this really gets through, and it really helps with your arm because you're not doing the sideways all the time when you're combing. You're just pulling straight back with it, which is really nice. So those are the different combs. And in my videos, as you may have seen, that sometimes I have dogs that are a little bit resistant. So if you do have one of those dogs or puppies that are just learning, I do use cones for my dogs. You can use a muzzle as well, but I find those would restrict the breathing of the dog. Of course, they can still breathe, but it's like us breathing through a hose or a straw, so it's restricting the breathing. So I find with the cones that you can put them on, it distracts the dog a little bit, and you can still do what you're doing, and that's reinforcing that you are in control of what's being done, and then that's what you want to keep as well. So, all right, so from there, cleaning your dog's ears. So if your dog requires the ears to be plucked out, that's just one thing I use is tweezers. So a really good pair of tweezers is what you need, and just anything that really grips on the hair. I usually have the angled tips as well, and I just pluck out a little bit at a time rather than doing all of it at once, just for a little bit of the comfort of the dog, because if they do have an ear infection or a lot of hair, it's just nice to pluck out a little bit at a time, and it's not as not as hard on them as well. But the hair does come out nice and easy, as you can see from my many videos, and you can kind of go from there to replace them as needed. I've only had to replace these once over the 16 years, so eventually they just split right in half, which was kind of fun. I was using them and they just kind of fell apart. But again, they last a very long time. So if you do buy a pair, buy a good quality pair that is comfortable when you use them right off the bat. If not, just go exchange them or get another pair, use them for yourself. But find a really good pair that's, just really comfortable using. And once you're done plucking that hair out, if they require it, I use an ear cleanse. It helps to remove the dirt and dissolve the wax, so when they shake their head, they're able to get rid of that. So I do that after I'm done grooming as well. I do brush my dog's teeth as well. So in addition to me giving him raw bones, and I give him bully sticks. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry. I do brush his teeth to basically massage his gums so that they're nice and healthy. So if your dog's teeth or gums are a deeper colored red, it's good for you to massage them. So I start with a softer brush, bristled brush, and then as they get used to you brushing their teeth and their gums, you can go to a harder bristled brush, which will really massage those gums. And there's the toothpaste. So you can pick these up, well, basically the toothbrushes anywhere. It's just kids' toothbrush that I use. And the toothpaste for pets, again, you can pick them up in any pet section of anywhere, basically. Even the grocery store usually has some type of pet toothpaste. But you don't need to use pet toothpaste. They really just need this massaging of the gums, right, with the tooth bristles. So there we go. Okay, so other things that I use are thinning shears. So if your dog has a long tail or you're growing out the ears, thinning shears really do come in handy if you're trying to grow those out, and it really gets those mats out. So if they are prone to getting mats, this basically allows you to keep your dog's hair nice and long, but you can get through those mats by thinning out the hair so that you can still keep the nice length, but get those mats out. And I have tried a few over the years. So these ones here, I thought were going to be good, but they're too close together, so they wouldn't get through the mats, and they're not long enough. So these ones were a trial and error for me. So I have tried some, like this was my first pair, and then I moved to my second pair, which are a little bit longer there, and they're a little bit longer in the teeth as well, and these ones are curved as well. So sometimes it's just trial and error. I know when I bought this other pair, rather than buying online and thinking they'll be good, I actually went into the store and they had something I could test on to make sure that they would work for what I wanted them for. And usually they'll let you test on your dog if you do have your dog with you as well. Again, they're not cheap, but they will last. And this is my first pair. It's just because you can't sharpen them. It's just starting to go dull, and this was I just got these ones this year, so it's been 15 years they last as well. So they last quite a long time for you as well. Okay. So the other thing, well, with me grooming, I guess, and it's up to you for your own dog, is when you're blow drying them, depending on what you're using for a blow dryer, you can always just put this to cover their ears just to protect it from the sound. I use a high-powered blow dryer, but you could also just, let them air dry or let them outside and groom them at a later date as well. So, or if you're not bathing them at all. So that's just something that I use, and I found these on Amazon, but they're, many places I'm sure you can find them. If your dog is a bit nippy too and you want to try, leather gloves also help. So I have used these a few times. So I have my thumb cut out so I can hold my scissors. So I'm still able to hold them, but then if they are going to bite, it won't really penetrate through. So these are kind of like the puppies and the light biters that aren't really hard biting you, but they've still got some strength. So it really does protect your hands a little bit, but you lose your mobility. But again, it's all about when you first start grooming to persevere through, to let the dog know what is allowed and what isn't allowed. You want to make sure that when you do start grooming your dog, if they're resistant and moving around or they yelp, you want to continue to do it at your comfort level, and let them know that it's when you want to stop that you will stop, not when the dog is jumping all around or biting you, or because the different things they'll do is they'll stay still at the beginning, and then as they don't like this, they'll kind of shift around the table, and then they may try to bite you or lick you, and then they may yelp, so they try different things to try to see if you'll stop. And if you do stop, it just reinforces that behavior. So then they'll continue to do that faster and quicker, and you'll stop. And so they just learn that behavior as well. So it's all about you sticking with it and being patient. And it does take a long time. I know my videos are quite fast when I'm grooming a dog, but I have been doing it for 16 years, like I said. So I started out right where you are as well, where it took me 3.5 hours to groom my dog, and I was very tired, and so was he, but it was always on my terms. So it's always good to have them on a raised surface, whatever that surface is, so you can have them on a table, on a desk, on a kitchen countertop, on the bathroom countertop, whatever you want to do. You can sit, you can stand, whatever you want to do, but it just tells the dog that when you put them in this area that it's time to be groomed rather than playtime, and they know that. So they will learn that behavior, that it's time. They won't like it. Even my dog, he does not like to come to be groomed. I have to kind of still chase him around the room and get them, but there's not too many that like to be groomed. I do have a few, but it's very rare. Those are the dogs with really thick fur, and they get really hot, and they get a little bit annoyed when their fur's a little longer and they kind of pout for their owners. So those are the dogs that are actually scratching to come into my dog business. But like I said, it's very rare so that a dog wants to be groomed. They do feel a lot better after, but it's like I always compare it to us going to the dentist, and we don't like going, but we sure do like coming out after and feeling good. All right, so one thing that I do like for my business, and even it's a good idea when you're starting out grooming your own dog, is just to take a picture when you're done of that groom, because you can, when you use the number 5 blade as comparison to the number 10 blade, we always do take pictures, but sometimes we're not specific. You take it a couple days later, or they're just laying, so you're not really getting the full sight of the groom on them. So you can take picture of their head or just their face, kind of thing, to see the differences that you like and don't like, and really recognize that and write it down, because when grooming a dog, even my own, right, you don't know from time to time what you liked. You just know he was cute, but you don't really remember what you used, so you go back and forth with that as well. All right, so I think that it covers everything that I use for grooming. So it's just the basic. Again, there's not very many things that you need, but if you do want to use and groom with your own dog at home, it's a good way to start. And you can buy clippers with the just the black blades that just kind of attach to the metal, so they're plastic attachments, and you can use those as well. I find that they are harder to get under mats, but if you're doing your dog regularly, those will work well as well, and last a long time. But when that one blade, because it only comes with the 10, right, on the clipper, and then you put the 10 or the plastic attachments on top of that. So when you do put the plastic attachments on top of that, it actually, you're always using this number 10 blade, right? So, and you can't take it off to sharpen it. So when that number 10 blade eventually dulls out, you won't be able to sharpen it. So if you're just doing your own dog, that'll last a very long time. But for me, being a groomer, I don't think it'd last long enough, because I usually sharpen each blade probably, every 2 months to a month, kind of thing, depending on if the dog's really dirty or if they have lots of mats. So it'll depend on that, how often I have to sharpen these as well. So that are some tips. I'm sorry I'm unable to see any comments, so I don't know what I've pressed. I'm just learning this process, so I don't know if there were any comments, but if there were, I'm sorry I didn't answer any of them. I will promise to answer any of the comments when I review the video later, and if there are any comments, I promise to answer all of them. If you do have any suggestions of what you'd like to see on a live video, I plan to get better and better. I can only get better and better, I'm assuming, because I'm not that good. So I will answer any questions, and hopefully my dog's just being a dog wanting to go outside. So that's him kind of talking in the background. So, oh, there we go. So I can see comments. Thank you very much. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and I will post another one when I'm able to, and I'm going to be doing them most likely on a Sunday at this time, which is 4:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to doing more videos. And also, please check out all the videos I do have on my channel of me grooming a wide variety of dogs. So I don't use any restraints ever, and for that reason, that's why you're just able to do your dog on a table wherever you are. So it does come in handy when you're camping or over at your friend's house and you just need to touch up your dog or their dog, and you're comfortable doing it without any restraints. And so you can check out lots of my videos of that. I appreciate it, and please always comment. I will take the time to answer as I can, and I appreciate you guys. So thanks a lot, and I look forward to talking to you and doing more videos.